How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're going to be predicting everything that's going to happen in Season 2 of Legend of Vox Machina. That's right, the official episode list for Legend of Vox Machina Season 2 has been released, and with that, I think that I can very accurately predict everything that's going to happen in Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. As always, if you enjoyed the video, learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our reactions to the latest trailer for Legend of Vox Machina Season 2, where we found all of the Easter eggs and references in the trailer, and wow, was there a lot. Just a note, this video is obviously going to contain spoilers for Critical Role Campaign 1 and Legend of Vox Machina. There's literally no way to do this video without spoiling it, so keep that in mind. Okay, like we said, the official episode list has been released for Legend of Vox Machina Season 2 on IMDb, and if you didn't know, the Critical Role team has a habit of naming a lot of their episodes in Legend of Vox Machina after the episodes correlated with them in Campaign 1. So using this, we can very accurately predict a lot of the episodes and the content that's going to happen in Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. Obviously, this is an animated series over a D&D campaign that has finished, so it's going to be easy to predict it just in general because we know the overall plot of the story. But with these episode titles, it gives us way more of a concrete idea of what exactly is going to happen, as it's going to be impossible for them to fit all of the details of Campaign 1 and the Chroma Conclave arc into just, what, 10, 12 episodes? With that in mind, before we get started, I do think it's extremely interesting because it seems like Season 3 of Legend of Vox Machina is most likely also going to be the Chroma Conclave. It very much seems to me like they're splitting the Chroma Conclave arc into 2 seasons in a very classic anime style, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. We begin with Episode 1, Rise of the Chroma Conclave. Now, there isn't an exact episode named after this in Critical Role Campaign 1, but this very much seems like it's going to be the kind of first few D&D episodes kind of combined together where the Chroma Conclave arc is started. As we remember at the end of Legend of Vox Machina Season 1, where we left off, the Chroma Conclave was attacking Emon. Well, spoilers, they end up claiming Emon. Our gang go to Castle Grayskull, where they have a brief scuffle with, I believe it was Riegel, learning that they are way out of their leagues when it comes to these ancient dragons that now are
destroying their home.
So I imagine this episode is going to have kind of the brief encounters with these dragons as we watch Emon being destroyed and realize that our characters, our heroes, are way out of their depths. Probably get some epic death scenes, some minor fights with a bunch of these dragons. We'll probably get all of the dragons introduced in some kind of way in these episodes. Ultimately, the party retreating to Whitestone with a number of refugees. Emon has now been conquered by a group of angry dragons. Episode 2, The Trials of Vasselheim. Now, this is very interesting because this seems to most likely correlate with episodes 18 to 21 in Campaign 1, where Vox Machina visited Vasselheim during the Slayer's Take arc. This is where they meet Zara and Cash. Obviously, in Critical Role, this takes place way before the Chroma Conclave, but we know from Legend of Vox Machina Season 1 that they didn't do this little mini arc in the show, as they obviously couldn't fit it. It really wouldn't have made sense. As well, you have the whole Tiberius situation going on there, so it seems like they've decided to shoehorn it here, which would make sense because obviously the Vox Machina goes to Vasselheim in a search for potential weapons, learning later on about the vestiges of the Divergence, which we're going to get to. So it seems like they decided to put the Slayer's Take little mini arc right here in this episode. I don't know if they're going to have them meet Kasha and Zara here in these episodes, or if it's going to be some kind of situation where they met them off screen, you know, kind of before the show, the animated series started. It's going to be one of these two things. We obviously know that Kasha and Zara are in the show, as they were in the trailer that we reacted to last week. Oh yeah, as well, we know that the group go to Vasselheim, and where they end up speaking with the Sphinx beneath the Slayer's Take, if I remember correctly, who informs them on the location of her mate, as well as a few other of the vestiges. So I imagine that this is what this episode is going to be, which leads us nicely to Episode 3, Sunken Tomb, which is named after Sunken Tomb Episode 44 in Critical Role Campaign 1. This is where the party with Zara and Cash venture underneath a lake that was outside of Vasselheim, where the a temple to the Raven Queen is underneath, specifically a grave for one Pervon Sewell, the champion of the Raven Queen in the Calamity. So much Critical Role knowledge in my head, guys. I gotta get it all straight real quick. We see these scenes in the trailer as well. We remember they fight a beholder in the tomb as well. This is where I believe
Vex'ahlia dies
because Percy triggers a trap on the sarcophagus where the Deathwalker's ward, the Raven Queen blessed armor, is in the sarcophagus, so Vex dies here. Ultimately, they revive her with Vax making his kind of contract, his bargain with the Raven Queen for Vex'ahlia's life. This episode's gonna be epic. Big moments here. Vax Raven Queen vibe is a super awesome plotline from Campaign 1, one of my favorite plot lines from Campaign 1, so I can't wait to see the Raven Queen and the vestiges of the Divergence animated. Gonna be super cool. Episode 4, Those Who Walk Away. This is aptly named from episode 45 of Critical Role Campaign 1. Now, I'm not exactly sure what is going to happen in this episode, because this episode is the episode that follows the aforementioned episode, the Tomb episode before. The group head back to Whitestone in the campaign, kind of regrouping from the crazy events that they just happened to them. There's a really iconic scene with Grog and Craven Edge where he goes with Scanlan to the privy and he has a conversation with Craven Edge in the bathroom. It's pretty funny. I imagine they're going to animate this scene. As well, they get Galdrick from the little stone after they identify it. They learn out what the Deathwalker's ward is. Vax wears the Deathwalker's ward. And then they head to the Fire Ashari to learn more about how Thordak broke out from his prison in the Fireplane. But if I had to guess, they're going to take a bunch of iconic kind of scenes and moments from maybe a number of episodes and kind of pool them into this episode here for the animated series. Next episode, Pass Through Fire, most likely named after episode 69 in Campaign 1. Now, this episode is interesting because this is the episode, at least in the campaign, following the big fight with Ripley. This is much later on canonically in the storyline in Campaign 1, but we know in Legend of Vox Machina that they reorganized events in the timeline in order to make more sense in a shorter animated series. So this episode from the campaign was the episode post the fight with Ripley, where they learn that Ripley has Cabal's Ruin, a vestige. As well, this is the episode where Ripley has Kynan, a young boy that Vax kind of spurned, who wanted to be Vax's apprentice. He also has a vestige in Whisper. I believe Percy dies in this fight, and Ripley having made a contract with Percy's shadow demon Orthax herself. This fight is crazy, so my guess is that this episode is going to be these events, this fight, and then the following fallout. This is when, after the fight, they return to Whitestone and they meet with Raishan, who is in disguise as Seeker Assume, saying that she is, in fact, wants to make an alliance with them to betray Thordak. I'm just guessing here, but this seems to be the most likely situation. Remember, they have to pack a bunch of events into just a few episodes, so there's a lot of vestiges that the party collect in Campaign 1, and like we said, there's only 12 episodes, so it seems like they're going to really have to kind of do like maybe 1 or 2 vestiges per episode for a few episodes here in the middle, as this is where they get Whisper and Cabal's Ruin. Episode 6, Into the Rime Cleft. This is probably based off Into the Frostweald, episode 48 of Campaign 1. This is where they venture to see the second Sphinx, the mate of the first Sphinx, who reveals to them the location of a number of other vestiges. Remember, this is where they have a crazy fight test with this Sphinx, as Sphinxes are crazy in D&D. They have the ability to control time. A bunch of our party members having some crazy aging in this fight, in this test of will and strength. These scenes were definitely teased in the trailer for Season 2. I really can't wait for this episode. It's going to be awesome. Next episode, Fey Realm. Most likely Feywild from episode 59 in Campaign 1. They can't use the word Feywild because this is copyrighted by Blizzard's D&D. They have to use Fey Realm. This is most likely my guess. Here, this is where they journey to the Feywild, where they meet with Garmelie. I believe he's a satyr who's actually Artagan, the Archfey, in disguise. As well, they visit Sengorn, the city of the elves, where they see Vex and Vax's dad, who's an absolute asshole. And ultimately, where they journey to fight Sondor, who is a corrupted Archfey who wields the bow Fenthris, which falls nicely to our next episode, Echo Tree, named after Echo Tree. Episode 63, I believe, from Campaign 1. This is the Sondor fight, big, epic Lady Vex'ahlia fight here, where she claims the bow Fenthris in this crazy tree. This fight's going to be awesome animated. I already know this is going to be really, really cool. These scenes and the art that came from a lot of these scenes all the way back in Campaign 1 was awesome. So I can't wait for this. That's probably going to be the entirety of this episode, which leads us to episode 9, Test of Pride, named after episode 51, Test of Pride. In campaign 1, like we said, you can see we're skipping all around campaign 1 timeline here. This is where the party ventures to Westerun to free the people of Westerun, who are now in control under the Black Dragon Umbrasyl, as well as a certain herd of storms, Grog's former barbarian tribe, who is led by Kevdak, Grog's uncle, who owns the Titanstone Knuckles, a vestige of the Divergence, and they have made a deal basically with Umbrasyl to where basically they're kind of like his lackeys who just run the city of Westerun. As well, we get to meet up with Kaylee, Scanlan's daughter, and Dr. Dranzel, a character that I couldn't remember from the trailer video that we watched. A good chunk of this episode is going to be Grog and Kevdak's duel, because originally their fight is a duel, a test of pride, which doesn't go very well for Grog, as Kevdak's cheating because he's got freaking a vestige, you know what I mean? And where Grog shouts the pretty famous line, Vox Machina, fuck shit up, as they unleash a surprise attack onto the barbarians. If you watch a lot of our Legend of Vox Machina content from season 1, you'd know that they constantly in Legend of Vox Machina take exact voice lines from Critical Role Campaign 1, which I think is awesome. We did a whole kind of little mini-series months ago about this, so go check that out. Into our next episode, which is Killbox, episode 52 from Campaign 1. This is the big fight with Kevdak. A lot of crazy stuff happens in this fight. We think that it's going to go horrible for Vox Machina. Grog's getting his axe kicked. Vex makes a huge play, getting on her broom, rescuing Grog in the little necklace that had Goldrick trapped in, which they retrieved earlier on in the season from the Raven Queen's tomb, from Pervon's tomb. She puts Grog in the necklace at super low HP, and then Grog is released from super high up in the air, falling onto Kevdak, slashing down on him, ultimately killing him, also knocking himself out in the same time. We know that this scene is obviously in the show. It's in the trailer. We see it teased in the trailer, and it's one of the most epic moments from Campaign 1. Easily one of the most epic Grog moments, so it has to be in the show. As like we said, the show has to hit a bunch of story beats from Campaign 1, and this is easily one of the most epic moments from Campaign 1. On to episode 11 then, Belly of the Beast, episode 54 in Campaign 1. This is where the group, having defeated Kevdak and turned the herd of storms onto their side and kind of freeing Westerun, at least in the short term, look to take down their first dragon, the Black Dragon Umbrasyl. They set a trap for Umbrasyl using a bunch of treasure, trying to get it to land so they can keep it on the ground, because fighting a dragon airborne is basically impossible for most parties. This goes pretty horribly wrong. Ultimately, Scanlan and Vax, I believe, deciding to dimension door inside the belly of the beast, hence the name of the title of the dragon, inside the dragon, which goes really wrong, almost killing them, though they do scare Umbrasyl off, who flies back to its lair, which we will see in the next episode, episode 12, titled Hope Devourer, which is the nickname, the title for Umbrasyl. This is where the big fight with Umbrasyl happens in its lair, ultimately Scanlan and Vax having to cut their way out from the inside of this dragon, and where Vox Machina takes their first scalp, their first kill on one of the members of the Coma Conclave. Like we said, this is the last episode, episode 12 of season 2 of Vox Machina, and at least from the episode titles here, only one of the Chroma Conclave members would have been defeated by this point, which would leave the rest of them, Voragal, Thordak, obviously, and Raishon, and the stories of the fights with the rest of them, ultimately the big fights with Thordak, which are gonna, I guess, take place in season 3 of Legend of Vox Machina, which would leave season 4 of Legend of Vox Machina to be the eventual Vecna arc. So then my guess then is there are probably going to be anywhere from 5 to 6 seasons of Legend of Vox Machina, at least to cover Campaign 1. You guys following? You picking up what I'm putting down? Pretty crazy. I don't remember them saying that season 2 of Legend of Vox Machina would only be like part 1, basically, of the Chroma Conclave arc. Very sneaky, very anime of them to do. If you guys watch Attack on Titan, you know that Attack on Titan has been milking the fuck out of their last seasons for a while now. I don't blame them, though, because in order to kind of experience all of the moments from Campaign 1 and all of the crazy stuff that happened in the Chroma Conclave arc, you kind of have to do it this way, especially because 12 episode runtime is pretty normal now for anime and cartoons. So yeah, as always, if you enjoyed the video, learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. As always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, adieu.